So you're starting upright, and this is a mini ball and band session. Don't worry too much if you don't have a mini ball. You can do all of the exact same repertoire without, or you could use a cushion or a rolled up towel if you really wanted a sense of hugging midline and a little bit of feedback from something as you did that. You're in a narrow parallel. I'm starting just off the edge of the mat, and I'm going to place the mini ball just above the ankles. It's not inflated fully as before when we've used it. So just standing here in the narrow parallel and taking that from the middle of the thighs, I feel that I'm connected in towards it without particularly having to work hard. So I'm standing upright. Just going to start with some breathing. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. So I breathe out next. And start to come into a roll down. So you can think of how you would approach this if it were the end of the session. You gently nod your chin to your chest. You have this softening through the sternum, a bit like you do in a spine stretch or even a chest lift. And you're slowly making your way down towards the floor. Now, if it's quite early in the morning for you still, it's the first thing you've done, you might want to pause and not come all the way down. Listen in, notice how it feels the lower you come down towards the floor. Let go of the hands, let go of the head. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, think about lifting the front of the body away from the clothing. So you create even more of an arch through the spine, as big a curve as you can create, while still being as even as possible to bring yourself back upright. Exhaling, nod your chin to your chest again. Soften and sigh. The front ribs turn in, as if you're coming up and over something. That would mean that as you roll forward, you release the arms away from the body and they're just hanging below the shoulders. Again, notice how it feels. You can pause with some distance still away from the floor if you wanted to, or if you could come further down towards the floor, you can soften your knees. So whichever approach you take, you're staying down here now. You're going to walk out onto your hands into a plank position. So notice how the ball just helps support that transition, bringing you into plank. See if you can find that length through the front body. See if you can maintain useful and active legs. From here, you're going to carefully send both knees down towards the floor. You'll uncurl the tops of the toes, and then you'll draw the elbows back and start to bring yourself all the way down towards your mat. So now you're laid flat. You could have placed a head cushion underneath your forehead if you wanted to. However, you're going to place your hands there with your elbows out to the side. So again, you can think about more often than not coming to lay on your front towards the end of the session. You would have walked your legs away from the pelvis, and I see no need why you need to do that now, but you can think about how it feels through the front of the hips. Also, can you think about your clock? So just laying here, you want to be really aware of where the center of your dial is. You could even just gently tilt the pelvis forward and back so you notice what's more heavily connected to the floor, what's more lightly lifted, and see if you can emulate being in the center of the clock. Initially, you're going to reach your legs long, just as if you're trying to lengthen, and then as you bring the legs back down towards the floor, imagine you put the ball down a little bit further away from your head. Inhaling, can you think tops of thigh bones down into floor? You just about take the ball away from your mat, and then you'll reach the ball long and try and place it back down on the mat, but further away than it was when you first lifted it up. clock, tops of thigh bones, big toes reaching away, and as you exhale, place the ball back down on the floor. This next one, as you inhale and drop the thigh bones into the floor and lift, you're going to start to come into that double leg kick action. Now, we've done this in class not too recently, whereby really pay attention. Do your feet end up coming closer towards each other as you bend the knees? Are you aware of the knees perhaps moving away from each other? Could they also stay narrow? Proprioceptively it's challenging, you can't see your legs, they're also moving behind your body, and that increases the challenge as well. But you can still start to think about clock, tops of thigh bones, kneecaps reaching away from you too as you bend. Just notice how that feels in the fronts of the legs. Lengthening, bending, reaching away and resting it down. And we've done all of these with more of an extended foot, but you could have used that ankle flexion if you so prefer. Reach your legs away and resting down. From here we're going to come into book openings. I'd like you to come to lay on your side. You're going to take the ball and place it underneath your waist. So this will be the book openings whereby you're going to think about not allowing the torso to leave being directly above the ball. Heads on your cushions. Organise yourselves with the backs of your body still, even though you've got this extra prop to think about as well. And as you breathe out, open your arm to the ceiling. Continue it coming round, but be really aware that as the arm comes round, you very well may need to think about the top hip coming forwards. Inhale when you're open and exhale to close. It's a little bit like you don't want to reveal the ball anymore. Exhale to open, continue to rotate round. Just be really aware that top hip today isn't going to rock back. Exhaling to open, ceiling. Keep following the hand. Can you open through the chest, yet still maintain pretty much the same coverage of the ball as you do when you start? We're going to do two more. Exhale, opening. Keep sending your top hip forward. Breath in when you're open, and breath out to bring yourself back closed again. Last one. Exhale, opening, looking at hand. Notice how this feels. Certainly feels like you meet your maximum rotation a little bit sooner, and then as you exhale, you'll bring yourself all the way back to the starting position. We're going to change over to the other side. Bring your ball with you. Adjust your head cushion if you need to. Ball's going to come underneath your waist. Head comes down. Knees are bent. Looking out for soles of feet. Just to really feel like I organised well before I started. So exhaling and you'll open the arm to the ceiling. So as the collarbone widens and the chest pulls round, think about sending your top hip forward, just in order that as you exhale to close, you don't feel like you're rolling back on the ball at all. Exhaling to open, looking at the hand, continuing to come round. Inhale when you're open, and then exhale to bring yourself back to your closed position. Breath in and breath out. You might find that despite you coming less round, so that range is reduced, You actually might find that by the time you get back to your closed position, you feel like there's a lot more space. Exhaling to open, looking, stay on top of the ball. What do you feel there? Use the feedback from the lower side of your waist on the ball. You can really tune into whether you're moving or not. This will be your last one. Exhaling to open and then continuing to come round, sending that top hip forward to maintain, and then exhale to bring yourself back into your closed position. So definitely different. If you come off the ball now, you're going to come to lay on your back. You don't need your head cushions because we're going to come into bridging, and you're going to place the ball between the knees for bridging. So find your narrow parallel, toes apart, heels into line. Just sort of have a shuffle around. Make sure you've got the sense that the shoulder blades have got enough space both up the mat and wide across the mat, and that you've given yourself enough space behind the knees as well. So first opportunity really to check in how it is. As you exhale, think about the sternum softening. Stand down into the feet to hover the pelvis, and then continue to peel the spine away from the floor. Inhale when you're up at the top of the bridge through the nose there. Same cue for coming back. As you exhale, you need to soften the sternum first. Then you can think about the sit bones widening and you're returning all the way back down towards the floor. The very fact that as you exhale, soften here, the very fact that you have the ball between the knees is incidental. Of course, it gives you some feedback, as it did in the last class that we did, that had the ball in it. But as you exhale here, down you go, pelvis hovered. And then you almost want to feel that the chest stays down there. And it's the sacrum that nudges up more. Big toes stay on the floor. Breath in when you're up at the top. Exhaling, sternum, sit bones, and return. I'm going to use the arms for these last two. Exhaling, sternum, stand, hover. And still a feeling up at the top as the pelvis tries to squeeze up a little more on that inhale, that the sternum drops back. As you breathe out here, that's when you're going to take your arms up and back, still softening through the center of the chest if you can, still widening through the sit bones, and then bringing the arms all the way back down again. As you breathe out, sternum, stand, hover, and extend. Inhale. And as you exhale, sternum, sit bones, reach the arms all the way back there, and then return them all the way back beside you. Into arm arcs, breath in, and breath out. You could return to your head cushion. So if you feel that you really lose the sense of the back of the ribs on the floor as you take the arms up, head cushion would help you. You wouldn't have to think about it so much. Definitely using that outward rotation as always. Definitely using that idea that the shoulder blades, they move, and you could have a little move around with them when they're up there, just so that you're sure that they are moving. They don't feel like they're fixed in any downward position. They're coming along with the arms. After you've done this last one, breathing in through your nose, inflating your back, lengthening your biceps and triceps. Exhale to return. Fingers come up towards the ceiling here. Now imagine as you breathe in that the chest falls away each side and the upper arms come down towards the floor. exhale to take the arms back. Breathing in. There's a sense of give, openness, freedom through the chest. Exhale to return. Two more. And last one. Into shoulder drops. Sternum's already prepped. So as you exhale and reach the fingertips up, the sternum should easily soften back in towards you. And as you inhale, spread the blades back on the floor. You might find just a little bit of lightening up there, so that as you breathe out again, you can feel that the center of your body swallows the sternum. And as you inhale and the blades come back, you might feel that centrally you just lift lightly between the blades. Exhale for your up each time. Feel free to move at your own pace. Inhale to return. And just pay attention to the synergy between the shoulder girdle and the rib cage. After you've done this last one and you've brought the arms down, you can relax them for a moment, take stock. Your knees are coming into your chest and you can keep the ball there if you want to. The feet drag in nice and close, and then you can lift both legs at the same time. You can move the ball so it's a little bit higher up through the inner thigh as we come into a assisted roll up and assisted roll down. So as you exhale, thinking about the connection of the sternum and the shoulders, you know, allow the legs to move away from you first, just because they're in a little tight. Nod your chin to your chest. Keep sending the sternum backwards. The elbows, they don't quite get to straight. They're firmly connected in with the legs to bring yourself up to sit. Now it's really on the down where you get the benefit of this position of ball. In that if as you exhale and the feet go down and forwards, from time to time you notice a little zigzag deviation off the sit bones and coming onto the back of you. The ball helps you hug the midline so much that the two pelvic halves behave. They unify and they move at the same rate. Well, of course, you know that they don't do that all the time, but in this occasion, exhale legs first. You want the pelvic halves to move alongside each other, so you can think about that very straight and direct linear approach to rolling down and rolling up. Really, reason being is because if they behave and unify, and it's not too tense, but you certainly feel that they're one, you can then begin to track directly through the lower back in towards your middle spine, and you can think about what happens down there is really going to help the movement all the way up. Exhaling, chin to chest. Pretty relaxed once you get going and once you really value this support of what's happening with the mini ball. After you've done this last one and you've brought yourself up, exhaling as you go, you can take the mini ball away for a moment as we come into spine stretch. Now, spine stretch is going to take us into roll down. And the roll down is not going to be all the way down. We're actually going to roll down to meet the mini ball, which is one of the other reasons why we want it to be slightly deflated, so it sort of stays where it's in place. If you wanted to, before we come into spine stretch, so that you know it's in a good place, you want to feel that when you get onto the mini ball, it's underneath the shoulder blades, probably just on the top of the bottom of that rib cage. So that's where you're going to place it roughly whilst we come into spine stretch. So as you breathe out, nod your chin to your chest, sternum once more, front ribs drawing in, feel that the back ribs lift. They sort of lift as if the armpits lift too. And then as you inhale, you can think about returning to the wall behind you, noticing as the arms draw in how you might have the tiniest pocket of space reappear between the blades. So exhaling, nodding, softening, that space then goes. The ribs turn in, the back ribs spread and lift up. And this moment's really a little like you're trying to pull something, pull over, up and over the back of your upper spine, and then inhale to bring yourself all the way back. I'm going to do 2 more of these. Exhaling, nod your chin to your chest. Soften. Imagine that you're lifting the contents of the upper spine up and over the head. Inhale to return. And last one. And then hopefully, whilst you come into this last one, the ball's already there and prepped. From your spine stretch, just for the first one, you're going to inhale, and as you exhale, imagine the navel is being drawn back through the body, and you start to roll yourself down. Your legs are going to stay straight and away from you as much as you possibly can now. Once you meet the ball, you do want to stay curved, but you are going to relax on the ball. So I'm looking at maintaining ribs down and in. I'm going to inhale and almost feel that I have let go to a certain degree. I've relaxed on top of the ball. And as I exhale, could I draw the ribs in more? Could I reach the fingertips forward more and drop the sternum back more in order to bring myself all the way back up to sit in this long sit? So exhaling, I'm going to take the rest of the sequence from a long sit each time. Trying to sit up as tall as possible each time. So I meet the ball and then I'm actually going to relax onto it, but I relax in a deeper flexed position. So I'm going to keep drawing these in as much as I possibly can. This is almost 100 arm position. Inhale when you're here, and as you exhale, the ribs draw in. It's actually quite a good move if you're avoiding that neck flexion from the floor coming up. If you feel like it could be a little bit too low, you could move the ball towards you a little bit more, so you'll meet the ball a little bit earlier. Keep tilting the dial on the side of the hips. You get there, you sense the ball's there, and then you can let go onto it. You're still tilting, you're still winding. Inhale, and as you exhale, this is quite a lot of work. Draw the front ribs in, reach the fingertips forwards, and bring yourself all the way back up to sit. We're just going to pull that middle line now long in a cross shape. It's a bit of spine twist and then a slightly different feeling rolling onto the ball. So if you're not sure about it, be tentative initially. Listen to the breath cues because they're really going to help you move around. So spine twist first, and you're going to start with the ball in the hand that's facing the screen, just so that you can move and see at the same time initially. So as you exhale, you're going to rotate as you would do in a spine twist. As you inhale, you're going to place the ball down onto the floor, roughly where it got to when you rotated. As you breathe out next, you're going to put the little finger side of the hand on the ball. Start to slide the ball away from you, but keep reaching with the opposite leg and the opposite hand. You then inhale to draw the ball back underneath you and pick it up, and then bring yourself all the way back round. We're going to do the same side twice more. Exhale to rotate, looking. Inhale, you place the ball down. Little finger, exhale, you reach. Now, as I'm leaning on the ball and reaching, I'm extending through the opposite leg, and I'm still hanging on with this opposite arm too. I'm then going to draw back in on the exhale when I need some support. Pick the ball up as I breathe in and come back once more. One more. Exhale to rotate. Again, like in book openings, inhale, place the ball down. Notice how it feels through this side of the body, having repeated, drawing back in as you breathe out, ribs to pelvis always. Pick the ball up and unravel yourself. You can relax your arms, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So the arms go out to the side, exhale to rotate. Inhale to place the ball on the floor, staying in that rotation. Outer edge, little finger side. You breathe out and you're going to start to give away on the ball, but reach that opposite leg and arm long and away from you. You breathe out to come back in and rotate to come back to center. Exhale. Inhale to place down. You're reaching out there, exhaling as you do so. Keep reaching the opposite leg. So this is my left arm and my right hand and my right leg are reaching in the opposite direction. I'm going to inhale to lift the ball up and de-rotate at the same time. Last one, exhale. Place the ball down. Long and leaning. Lift and return. From there we're going to come into extension. So you're going to put the ball a little bit further behind you. This time when you come to roll down on it, it wants to feel like it roughly gets in between the blades. You're then going to do a full arm arc, taking your arms all the way back, circle the arms, nod your chin to the chest, find that same position and roll yourself all the way back up again. So you'll take a breath in. And as you breathe out, backs of the legs are coming down. Now, imagine the ball's there already. Imagine that sense of dropping back, feeling quite relaxed onto it through the lower half of the body. Meet the ball between the blades. You'll inhale here now, and you'll lift and you'll expand and you'll allow the ribs to flare and the head to move back towards the floor. You circle the arms around as you exhale. You nod your chin to your chest. You swallow the ribs. And then you bring yourself all the way back up again. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, backs of the legs go down. Start to tilt. Keep tilting. Imagine you're just about to meet the ball already and you've relaxed through the front body. Between the blades, roughly. Inhale. Start to open up. Big arm arc. Allow the ribs to flare. Circle the arms all the way round as you breathe out. Nod your chin to your chest. And roll yourself all the way back up. Exhaling. And tilting. Shoulder blades. And bringing yourself all the way back up to sit. From here we're going to come into some leg work, so grab your band. You could use your head cushion again if you wanted to. We'll do left leg first, so we're going to come into hamstring prep. Stirrup up through the left foot, lay yourself down and take your left leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale, toe comes back towards shin, and exhale, heel reaches away from you. Inhale, toe comes back towards shin, and exhale. So you want to feel that the band assists the bending, the softening, and then you're resisting against it as you're extending your leg up and away from you each time. Inhaling and exhaling. Breath in 2 more. Inhale. You could keep going if you felt like you needed to. And exhale. Last one. We're going to do mini circles here. So the leg comes across the body. It's going to go down and out and around and pause when it's up. Again, the band is quite taut. Around and pause when it's up. Across the body and pause when it's up. Good. And around and change direction. Away from you and around, away and round. Keep the flexion through the ankle if you can, and last one, and all the way up there. So I'm going to take the band off, but I'm still going to use the left leg. I'm going to take the blue ball and place the blue ball underneath the pelvis. Still going to use the left leg. So once the pelvis is resting on the ball here, I'm just again going to pay attention to the shoulder blades. They feel like they have enough space. They certainly want to feel that they're quite wide for this one. I'm going to use the left leg as my working leg, so I'm going to bring the right leg into my chest. So it might be opposite for you, but the leg you just circled and prepped via hamstring is the one that you're going to lift up towards the ceiling now. So I'm going to carefully bring the left leg in and extend it up towards the ceiling, and I'm going to flex the ankle. Now it's a moment here where whilst you steady yourself, you can think about having the mini ball between the thighs, just as you did in the assisted roll down. So you're hugging your midline, your pelvis halves are creating that one sturdy whole unit. I'm going to take my elbows wide just to give me that feeling of breath. And I'm going to begin to lower this top leg down. Now, what doesn't happen is any movement in the spine. So the leg lowers down as far as it can without my pelvis leaving the ball, without my shoulder blades leaving the mat, and any other bit of me spine-wise that's on the floor. And then going to point the foot and take the leg back up towards the ceiling. And again, nothing's changed spinally. So if nothing changes spinally, you should be okay motion-wise. And you all know that as you flex the ankle and lower down, that a little bit of movement, like being on a foam roller, it is fine. Actually considered quite good. You've got something internally to work against. Now I'm going to think just about this end of range here, because I want it to feel like it's coming from the front of my leg opening and not any change through the back of my body on the floor. I'm then going to change my foot and lift the leg up a little bit how I would do if I was doing shoulder bridge. So exhaling, leg is lowering down, heel is reaching long and away from the crown of my head. Crown of my head's pulling in the opposite direction, just to really open up through the front of this left hip. And there's a reason why we're doing this with the same leg, because this leg again we're going to use for the next move, which is going to be your side kick sequence. So after you've lowered down here and you've pointed the foot one last time, just be really aware of what's going on through your spine. You're going to bend this leg and you're going to put your feet down and take your ball away. And then from here, you're going to bring yourself onto the side, still going to be using your left leg, the same leg you've been using throughout, but you're going to place the ball underneath the lower part of the rib cage and come into side kick. So elbows and 2 straight legs. Just as you come into this position, you can think about the front ribs being back. Feet move away from each other, and you're going to find that this leg, having been worked, feels quite light initially. So you've just got that sense of lifting and lowering and feeling quite free. And you can inhale to lift, and you can exhale to lower. After you've done this last one, you're going to finish with the leg at a slight hover, and you're going to start to come into a circular action. So round you come. Really think about continuing to push into the floor, particularly with the edge of the leg, the edge of the foot, and then change in the opposite direction. There's going to be a little bit of movement. You can try and control it as best you can. Keep edging through the outer part of the foot if you can feel that quite well connected, or whatever part of the leg you can feel connected onto the floor there. And then you're hovering. And then you're inhaling and it's full kick. And you're exhaling and you're swooping the thigh bone back. You inhale, full kick, and it's exhale and you're swooping the thigh bone back. You're thinking about that freedom, that awareness of torso when the leg comes back there. So be aware of what happens to your body. Slow the movement down if you need to. It wants to emulate what you just did laying on your back as you were lowering the leg, as it was coming down towards the floor. Just watch that the lower back remains long and in its same curve. After you've done this last one, you swoop forward and you swoop back. Well done. Rest the leg down. You can take the ball away. You're coming back onto your back and you're going to come into hamstring prep with the right leg. And taking your leg up towards the ceiling. Band is quite taut. Elbows down on the floor. Inhale to soften and exhale to reach away. Inhale and exhale. Breath in and breath out. So again, the tightness of the band helps you with the softening. You're still resisting because you want to increase that ankle flexion if you can. And then feel like whatever you increased, you maintained and you worked against that resistance. It might be that you feel it more through the hamstring at that point, or maybe through the calf. Last one, and then you're going to come into your circles, and they're small. So across your body, down and around. Again, quite tight with the band if you can manage that. And then changing direction. And pausing there. So if I remove the band now and take the ball again, I'm going to be using that right leg once more. I want to feel like position the ball well enough. The shoulder blades have got plenty of room. And then because I want to use the right leg once more, I'm going to bring the left knee in first. Elbows wide. Figure out how that feels again. Make sure you feel like you're broad and wide across the back of the body, and you can extend that same leg up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're hugging the ball between the legs somewhere. Heel reaches long and away from you. Back of the body stays connected. Whatever you had with the leg up to the ceiling, so far as points of contact with the ground you have as you're lowering this leg down. You can think about reaching the heel long and away from you, inner thighs moving towards each other. Depending on your experience, if it feels like it's just super wobbly and you can't quite figure out your position, if you have a foam roller, you could do this on the foam roller. Or you could move to cushion or block or something different that didn't move around so much, but really what you want to get out of it more than anything is this opening through the front of you, being aware of not allowing the back ribs to come off the floor. So notice how it feels for you. And of course, if the leg begins to veer away just the slightest to the side at all, then there are repercussions considering the movement on the ball. So be aware of what your leg is doing as it comes back towards you. Flexing and lowering and reaching long and away. Elbows wide just to give me a feeling of breadth, and then pointing foot and bringing the leg all the way back up again. So you can bring your feet separately down, and then you're going to bring yourself onto that side. So once more you're using the same leg, two straight legs, and you're on your elbow. Interlace fingers and hands behind the head. So the first up and down sequence is really, am I in a good position? So I'm going to think about reaching long just to help me out with stability. If it still feels quite challenging as you start to move, then you could move your feet slightly further forwards, heading towards the front corner of your mat, depending on how you're getting on. And you lift, and you lower, and you lift, and you lower. You're going to come into some mini circular movements. And then change direction. And then into kick. So as you inhale, you swing that leg forward, and as you exhale, think about the back ribs coming back still as you swoop back. Inhale, you'll come forward, and then exhale, pointed foot just as you did with the pelvis on the ball to come back. Inhaling and exhaling, back ribs staying back as much as you possibly can. Inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale, and last one, inhaling and exhaling, reaching long and away from the crown, and you're going to rest down from there. If you take your ball away, we're going to come into mermaid and side bend from here. So bringing yourself around, we're going to start with left leg in front, right leg behind. Inhale and lift your right arm, and then exhale to take yourself over to the side. Breath in when you're over, and breath out to bring yourself back. Inhaling to lift, and then exhaling to take yourself over. Breath in when you're here, and breath out to bring yourself back. Inhaling and exhaling. Breath in and breath out. Two more, breath in. Shoulder reaching. And last one, inhale. Into side bend from here. You could come onto your forearm if you wanted to. Otherwise, back leg comes over. Heel coming in towards the top of that foot there, so you feel those 2 feet are connected. Left hand's going to reach far away from you. Edge the foot down into the floor first, so you push down to lift up with the pelvis. And then you're taking your shoulder up and over that arm to reach yourself up and over. Keep pushing into the arm to return yourself back, because ideally you need to be away from the hand in order that you can project your shoulder down to come up so that it finishes above the hand once you get there. Inhaling when you're over here and then still pushing a little to bring yourself back. Last one, edge down, pelvis lifts up, and then take the arm up and over. Already prepped that side bend, ribs in, using that whole shoulder, and then carefully bring yourself back down again. Same thing on the other side. So bringing your legs round, inhaling to lift the arm, and exhaling to take you into your bend. Breath in when you're here, and breath out to bring yourself back. Inhaling, full shoulder movement. Keep reaching the upper arm. Inhale when you're here, and exhale to bring you back. Breath in, and breath out. Inhale when you're here, and exhale to return. Last one, inhaling, and exhaling. Inhale when you're here, and exhale to bring yourself back. Back leg comes over, heel is connected to the front of the foot, and that other arm reaches away from you. You push down into the outer edge of the foot to lift the hip, and then you'll reach the arm up and over you to bring you into your side bend. Inhale, push away, and carefully lower yourself back down again. If it doesn't feel right for you, down to come up. Come onto your forearm, two straight legs. Inhale whilst you're up here, pushing the floor away, and then exhaling to bring yourself all the way back down again. Last one. Down to hover and to come up. Breath in when you're up, and then breath out to bring you all the way back down again. From here we're staying with arms, and you're going to come into hands and knees. So organise yourself, lengthen through the back of the neck. As you exhale, you're going to push down into the floor with one hand and one knee, and as you inhale, you're going to relax off. You want that feeling of back of head lifted and in line, and as you exhale, one knee goes down, the other hand goes down as cross diagonal, and inhale to relax. Exhaling to push down into the floor, and inhaling to relax. And exhaling to push down into the floor, and inhale to relax. The next time you push down into the floor, you're going to allow both the leg and the arm to release and lengthen away. They stay on the floor. And then you slide the limbs back underneath you. They in turn push down into the floor, and the other arm and leg slide away. The arm that's sliding away is going to be palm facing inwards and back underneath you. I just want you to get a sense that you go down, yes, to release, but then both the arm and the leg move away from the pelvis at the same time, and then slide back underneath you. One more to finish. Down, to slide and release, and then draw back underneath you. Once you're back here where you started, you're going to come to lay down on your front, and you're going to take the blue ball and you're going to place it underneath your sternum for dart. So legs will be straight as you come down. Arms will be straight beside you. And you can have the shoulders slightly rounded. In fact, I would encourage that just so you can sense how much they do open. And the forehead may or may not be touching the floor. You don't have to force it down. I think my forehead's likely just going to be hovered throughout. So palms are facing up towards the ceiling. You'll take a breath in, and as you do so, send some sternum down and forward. So you send the air forwards in the ball. You open through the collarbones and take the arms up and away. As you exhale, bring yourself all the way back down again. Again, allow the shoulders to slightly round. Breath in and lengthen, widen. And if you keep sending the sternum forward and opening the chest broad, the arms will lift. You might also find that the palms begin to switch from breath in, facing up towards the ceiling, to facing in or maybe even down. Exhale to bring yourself back down again. Last one, inhale to lengthen. You send the sternum downwards, the arms start to move, and then as you exhale, you come all the way back down again. From there, you're going to take the ball away, but lay flat on your mat. So your arms are going to reach out in front of you. If you wanted a head cushion so that your head was slightly hovered, you could have that there. Your palms are facing in, just as they did for the quadruped. And just as you did for quadruped, you're going to think about both the arm and the opposite leg starting in the lower back, in the back of the pelvis there. You're going to reach arm and leg long and lift. Think about the ball still being underneath the sternum that you're sending forwards and up. And then you're going to relax down. So you're going to lengthen. Imagine you've also got the ball between the legs so that there's the sense of hugging your midline, and lower yourself back down again. So as you reach away from the back of the pelvis, the top of one thigh bone pushes down into the floor, so you can really feel that you're pulling the lower back long in two directions. Down to lengthen and lift. And then if you're happy to, you're going to stay up there and switch and lift. You could take your gaze down towards the floor rather than looking out to the arms. And you could move in a quicker pace as well if you wanted to. And you're going to switch for two more, and then you're going to relax all the way down. Into child's pose from here, something that brings you into a round position at least. So back of neck, let that go, relax, back of body. And then from here, you're going to bring yourself up, back onto hands and knees. Slide one leg away from you when you get here. Curl the toe under. Stand down into the floor with the hands. Slide that other leg away and standing strong. Send your heels backwards and downwards. Start to walk back towards your feet. You can soften and relax here. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, you're going to lift the front of the body away from your clothing and bring yourself all the way back up again. Take a breath in as you breathe out, nod your chin to your chest and roll yourself back down again. Coming out into leg pull from here. So you're going to walk forwards on your hands. 1, 2, 3 if you can. Stand strong, stay in your legs. One foot moves down into the floor while the leg lifts up, and then that leg lowers down. They stand down into the floor to allow for that lifting hover. Flexed ankle, strong hamstring, and leg comes down. Big toes if you can. Long and lengthened, and down you come. Last one. And lowering. Send your heels backwards and downwards for the last time. Walk back towards your feet. Relax. Let go. And as you exhale, lift up the front of the body as if it's trying to come up towards the ceiling. Nice and loose through the arms if you can, unravelling to bring yourself upright. And there you are. We're done. Well done everyone, and take care.